So welcome everyone. So 2021 continues to unfold itself in different parts of the world in different ways. Some parts are gripped by corona. Others are choosing to return despite of corona. And yes, we have some surprising situations and happenings that have unfolded in the United States. They have an impact on pretty much all of the world just because of the positioning of the United States in the world. And I did talk about that this is, given that this year is a year of flow, it is also a time for different parts of the world to return to their innate vibration. So you've some of you've heard me talk about this previously, but I've never ever done a session dedicated to this subject. But basically, every person, every part of the world has an innate vibrational frequency. It has its own unique gift, and 2020 was really a very important cleansing time. Like the last little stretch of cleaning out that, which prevents from different parts of the world to return to what their originating intent is. Now, some parts of the world have been ready and they've started emerging. India is one of those parts of the world. India is a seat of wisdom. A new wisdom had landed in India. It just wasn't surfacing up because the frequency in India itself needed to be recalibrated. And it is still, the journey is still happening, but there's a sufficient amount of space, especially with this time of the crown phenomenon, that we had such an extended time of people returning to that which is the most important space for them to be in, which is themselves, leaving some of the high energy vortex places in India to their own devices so they could reclaim what their originating intent is. And once, literally, we've got several spots in India that are like that. And as they started reclaiming their originating intent, they started connecting with each other, and then it multiplied to such an extent that we've had the new wisdom that is now starting to emerge out into this, has come up to the surface and starting to emerge out. Now, when India does that, it requires the support of the United States, because the United States on the other side is, its innate vibration is that of world leadership. So whatever it is that it puts its attention to, it very quickly develops a leadership position in the world, because that is its innate vibrational frequency. So, and Los Angeles, the city of angels, is all about amplification. So the world leadership as the innate vibration combined with the amplification energies of the city of angels really multiplies the leadership that that America is able to command across the world. So applying that leadership command and the amplification energies to the new wisdom that is rising, which is a wisdom of how to live and propagate in this world of that has moved from command and control to collaborative co-creation of coexistence, in celebration and in a space of coherence. That wisdom actually requires leadership and amplification. And for that, this has to start playing out in the Americas as an implementation. Now, whilst it may not seem that way right now, but everything that has occurred in the build-up and during 2020 and what is occurring now is all a part of really cleaning up that which no longer serves and returning America to its position of world leadership. It's a steward of that leadership, leading the world with this new wisdom that comes from India. So that is what is occurring. It is all about people finding their flow, the place itself finding its flow. So whatever occurs, our role is to find and stay within our flow no matter what, because we are in that flowing current. It's just like, this whole phrase of, what do they call it? Breaking the chain that we've all become accustomed to hearing during the crown phenomenon. Whilst we thought it was about breaking the chain of the virus, it really was about breaking the chain of forces that interfered with flow, so that those that were in flow, the nature spirits, could literally unite with us and spread holographically the flow vibe, so that the flowing in flow could return those parts of the world that were ready to emerge into their innate vibration and accelerate that before the first slipstream. So it's important. So today's session is very much about understanding this next layer of 2021. It remains about flow. It remains about flowing in flow. And it is what I want to talk about today, which I've already begun, is about different spaces in the world returning to flow and supporting us as humans. One of the key things that is the focus of the divine during this first quarter of 2021 is to keep the nature spirits pure and pristine, so that they, like, literally unifying them to such an extent that they become like an automatic shield that prevents humans in their previous human form to recalibrate and return to experiencing flow within themselves. So that if there are any such coalitions or people coming together in a way that does not serve our planet, nature in its very soft and gentle okayness way will break the pattern by infusing okayness. And okayness is going to be infused and expressed by humans in some cases, by declaring what is not okay is not okay. And really removing, starting to bring about a unified declaration of that which is not acceptable, that which is not tolerable. And in some ways, what occurred only a few days ago, having, just observing and seeing leaders and countries from different parts of the world, like really nobody stood up to condone that behavior. Even the ones that were expected to be somewhat supportive declared that they were not. So I can see this piece playing out in that way. So for us who understand the importance of flowing in flow, it's important to understand that acknowledge how you feel. Do not brush it away. Like you've heard me say many times, the carpets disappeared, there are no closets, nothing can be locked up, nothing can be put under the carpet. It's about you. The faster and sooner you declare to yourself and acknowledge what you are feeling, how you are feeling about any particular situation, you are prepared and ready to unconditionally accept what is and move forward. If you feel at times that what has occurred really requires you to say something to someone, go say it to that person or to those people, or communicate with their higher selves. Do the 9-4-6 breath, a couple of human vibe attunement chants, start communicating to people's higher selves so that you are clear. You are clear. Continue experiencing the yumminess. Not because you're deluding yourself, not because you're doing positive incantations, but because you are choosing to. And you're choosing because you're choosing. There is no reason for it other than you, that's a choice you make for you. Now, here's the other thing to understand about flow. Flow, it's continuous. It's present and it's continuous. So it's moving. Sorry, there's something odd that came up on my computer as a message. I've got rid of it. So flow is continuous. It is moving. So leaving that you're going to work with this, come back to it. I need to do something else that is a priority. No, the most important priority for you in the first quarter before the 5th of March is get accustomed to what it feels like staying in flow. What it feels like experiencing that flowing current while you're in flow. Take little things, because your mind is the one that may experience conflict. Your mind is the one that may feel it wants to do one thing and it's experiencing something else. So it's really important for your mind to be converted through evidence. So take little things. It could be that there's a particular relationship that you want to get into a flowing experience. There's a bit of ickiness in it. You just choose to remain in your flow and allow the flowing current to move that relationship forward. See what shows up. See what kind of language you use. Start noticing that. Now, here's the thing. Whether or not you noticed you're in flow, what you will notice is when you are not in flow. Because not only will you feel it from within, you will also experience it physically. Like you'll be pushed in certain directions that won't feel comfortable. And this is also a time where you can give yourself that beautiful present. And it's a present of your presence. Because the current of flow is present and it is continuous, you can literally apply it to yourself too. Allow yourself to be present and you will continuously be moving forward. It's also a beautiful time for anyone to take on little projects. And I invite you to look at different aspects of your life and just break them up into little bite-sized chunks. Because it's a very unique opportunity that we have not had before, where you can take that little bite-sized chunk of a project and allow yourself to envision what that would feel like if you were flowing in it. And then give yourself permission to do that. And then just recognize if it was happening, if this project was moving forward in a flowing way, how would you be being? And then choose that as a way of being. And when you choose that as a way of being, doing will flow. And the flowing current will be applied to it. And you will move forward. You won't even realize when the project would be done and complete. I've been having some fun playing with that. My intention is I'm holding the space this year where everyone that is, consistent in the Beyond Meditation family, everyone that is, in the journey into miracles, you are all able to, in your own way, experience what it feels like where you're trusting the current to take you, but you're very connected to what it feels like when you are in flow, so that you can achieve that experience in a regenerative way. I mean, I had quite a deep body of work that came through during a very special connection time that I experienced a couple of days ago, where the whole year was laid out in front of me. And you heard me talk about slipstream, and I've been given the slipstream dates. Some of them are, quite close together, and others are quite far apart. There's several such slipstream dates, and they have a um, slightly different nuance in terms of the slipstream. So you will experience the first one coming up on the 5th of March. But take the time between now and then to divvy up what you're up to and what you would love to be up to into little bite-sized chunks, and start this journey of knowing what it feels like if that was done, choosing how you would be being if it was done and achieved, and then start being that way and allow the doing to flow. This first period between now and the 5th of March, the frequency that is being added to the human vibe is the frequency of trust. So trust, just like love is an amplifying frequency, trust is an anchoring one. It's an anchoring frequency. And it anchors you in your presence. So one of the reasons why so many of us, through our life experiences and choices, we sometimes find it hard to trust. And it's really because we find it hard to trust being in our presence. So we are always running away from that. And of course, we then, project it onto other people, other projects, in the world outside of us. So the first leg is all about anchoring an anchoring frequency of trust. For us to allow ourselves to flow, so the flowing current will take us further, we are to trust that it's going to take us towards where we intend to go. Now, for some, it may not even be clear where they intend to go. And some of you, I will be doing a deep dive journey where we will define in a very conscious way where you intend to go, and you will work with that. What you can do is you can certainly choose that if you were completely in flow, how would you be being? And you can apply the intention of being that way as your way of experiencing flow, and allow yourself to trust that you will be that way as the flowing current takes you forward. The interesting thing about 2021 is, just like 2020 had a frenzy, had a frenzying undertone to whatever occurred. It was not chaotic, but there was a frenzy. So even when the corona thing started taking over, it wasn't chaotic, but there was a frenzy. There was a panic frenzy, the fear frenzy. Then there was like, okay, can't do anything about it. We'll just settle into it. But then there was a frenzy about, oh, we need to do as much shopping as we can. It was not chaotic, it was frenzied. And it was frenzied, and we all felt it. There was like, and internally we felt that the energies were moving really fast, and they were. The world was changing so rapidly. Just imagine, it couldn't have happened any other way. The changes that have taken place in the planet couldn't have happened any other way. I mean, it's very interesting. I'm in Dubai, like, it's open. So we are having people from different parts of the world that are coming here. And each one of us, are sharing our COVID stories. Some of us are COVIDians and others are not. And yet we are all impacted by Mr. Crown and the Crown phenomenon. And it's interesting. Some of those stories are filled with compassion. Others are quite hilarious, But by and large, we are all able to even talk about moments where we had that anxiousness and anguish. And what occurred, we didn't even realize we'd actually overcome it. And we emerged somewhere else. But there was a story that I've uncovered as I've been talking to people, that they're holding on to. This was the worst year ever. And as I say, okay, well, tell me about it. They realize, actually, I thought this, and I thought it a lot. But when you're asking me to describe it, I don't have sufficient evidence now that it is over to demonstrate that it was the worst year. Yes, there was a worst level of anxiety I had at a particular point in time. But once I settled into it, this happened and that happened and that happened. And because of this something else occurred. It's quite interesting to hear that. Now, I'm sharing this because 2020 as an energy force was a humongous energy force that was going to clear up and clean up the planet, and it focused very specifically on humans and the human attitude. By literally creating and ring fencing us away from the spirits of nature, so nature could start returning to its originating intent of okayness and start amplifying, starting to reclaim itself. And then that okayness started to seep into us around September time. And that okayness vibe is continuing. Very necessary for this energy of 2021, which is soft, which is gentle, and it is very certain, which is it's an energy of moving forward. It will feel chaotic, it will feel harsh, it will feel destabilizing the moment you become rigid or attached to something. If you allow yourself to flow, even if you have a propensity of getting upset about certain things, or anger seems to be an issue, or a propensity to feel low and down when certain things occur, if you just really allow yourself to be in flow, you will be surprised as something that would otherwise have angered you has come and gone, and you're now recalling that, oh, that would have made me really angry. You'll start noticing that. Remember, one of the qualities of the experience of heaven on earth is that experience of whole and complete. Nothing is lacking. There's an abundance of everything. And that comes from people always experiencing that whole and completeness within themselves, knowing that they can always find what they're looking for when they return, come home to themselves. Everyone, and I'm saying this from tuning into the world, everyone, every human, and every other living being during the corona time has experienced at one point or another that experience of whole and complete. Some have experienced it more than others, but that cellular memory has been experienced for real. So it's not difficult for people to return to it. My invitation to our Beyond Meditation family, it's called Beyond Meditation for a reason, because it is like, okay, yes, you do go into a deep form of deep meditative state, and you come into the acknowledgement of yourself as a human, receiving yourself fully as a human, amplifying yourself as a human, and your soul acknowledges that you are one with the soul. You are now not only a aware of that cellular memory of whole and completeness, you also are infused with that knowingness of the soul, that it is limitless, it is indestructible, and it has no, it is eternal. So all of that exists and is available to you. If you do come across fear, I mean, those of you who've done the journey, you know what fear is. Presence that. If you haven't done the journey and you experience fear, just allow yourself to be, because fear in its negative connotation takes you out of flow. Find a way in which you can return to flow and trust that the flowing current is going to enable you to move forward. The current is such, it's only during the slipstream that it is very, very strong. And like there is no space to even look around. It is like just be in the slipstream and go, 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 go until you get to the end of it. When you are not in the slipstream, it is a current that keeps moving forward. There is time to just, allow yourself to float and stare at what is, experiencing the magic and miracles of what's going on. So you will have that time, but it is always about moving forward. So even if there are situations from the past that you are to address or work with, create it as a new project so that you can co-create a solution that will be a forward-looking one. Looking back, trying to rectify something, by the time you get down to rectifying it, whatever it is that you are trying to rectify might have changed or might have already got corroded. It might be already gone. This is the time where it's really important that you wear your, you wear your oxygen mask before you go and save or fix anybody else. Put on your life jacket first before jumping in the water to save someone else. There is this river, I don't know where it is in Switzerland. Talk about swimming downstream. There is actually a river where people live in one part of the suburb and they go to work in the town. And that can take 40 minutes to an hour by car or by bicycle. It's quite a long distance. Or you can just put your stuff in a waterproof backpack, tie it up, and just jump into the river and allow it to take you there. You're there in about 10 minutes. It's actually there. It exists, and people go to work this way. They literally just jump in and off they go. Swimming downstream. This year we have that opportunity of swimming downstream. So full spectrum living, as we call it, is going to be an important aspect of your life this year. Last year, 2020, I introduced the idea that, what is life and what is death? Life is an organism that's breathing, and it's a state, and it's a state in which an organism is breathing. Death is also a state. It's a state where the organism has stopped breathing. Both life and death are really, a state. Just how the organism shows up in life and how the organism shows up in death is different. So, and you can change that state in an instant. The state of life can switch and it can become death in an instant, click of a finger. Now, what keeps you alive long after you have stopped breathing is how you chose to live your life. So, I talk about Gandhi a lot. He's as alive, and probably more so in some in some quarters, than he was when he had life. He's very alive. Nelson Mandela is very alive. So 2020 was a year for you to choose to live your life. Otherwise, so many of us, many more of us would have gone. And there are many souls that did choose to change their state, and off they went. So 2020 anchored this remembrance of we are given life to live it. We aren't just given life to breathe in and out. We are given life so we can use that as a tool to come alive. And 2020 gave us a good chunk of time to start experiencing it, because there was just nothing to do out there when you were locked up in your house. I talked to my friends and family in London. They're like, well, nothing to do. So much was happening, and there is nothing that we can do right now. All we can do is be at home. So people are choosing to find ways in which they can feel that they are living their life, even though they are locked up. And we all went through it, for long stretches of time during the crown phenomenon. So 2020 was all about bringing those remembrances back. And sometimes it took the might of every element you could think of. Now, 2020, now that remembrance has been unraveled for every human, whatever power that they may hold, or however alone or disempowered they may have felt, they've all experienced that the choice of living their life is only made by them. The crown phenomenon taught us that. Nobody can teach us how to live our life. We do that. And it's a matter of choice. That remembrance got anchored in 2020. That was the role of 2020. That was the divine plan. Now that is anchored, 2021 is a year that gets you on the path to coming alive in a concerted way. That's the role of 2021. It's a year where the leaves turn color, and you have that fresh green leaves coming up. After September is where you will start noticing the buds forming. And the blossoming will emerge towards the end of 2021 as we get into 2022. Which is the year of blooming. 2022 and 2023 is the blooming year. All this, the stage is set this year. We can look at a tree that may have no leaves at this point and may see some leaves coming out, which may look tiny and puny and light green, and may choose, oh, it's just not worth it, chop it off. Or you may know that, oh, it started sprouting, because a remembrance has returned. So as you choose to emerge into your flow, you will come from that remembrance. There isn't the frenzy. And the good thing about this is, when you are in your flow, if you are fed crap, like if you're given the fertilizer of poisons, you won't be in flow, but it's actually not going to impact you because you're a different vibrational frequency. It'll do nothing. You will just take the nutrients and keep moving forward. It's akin to something very crazy that we did in Bali. When I moved to Bali and we decided to convert a piece of land that was attached to the house into a permaculture, um, beautiful edible landscape. It wasn't a large piece of land, we just made it a layered vertical landscape. But there was no water there. There was no water source. The only water source was our swimming pool that was attached to the house, and it was a chlorinated swimming pool. So how did we water these plants? We watered them through the swimming pool. Can you imagine the chlorine going into the soil? And my permaculture artists that work with me, and these are real humans in human form, they knew what it was going to be, and they planted and they layered the soil like layers of a cake. It took us 6 months to prepare the soil. But that which was poisonous for us to drink actually became such a nutritious type of water that was being spread by the roots of what we called as a banana circle made up of banana trees. That we had such a fabulous ecosystem. It was so rich in bees and butterflies, and we didn't have mosquitoes. I mean, even during the worst of dengue times, you could go for a stroll in our beautiful edible landscape and not be bitten by mosquitoes. So 2021 is a little bit like that. As you're starting to notice the sprouting of the leaves of flow in you, and they have a different color to what you think your tree actually generates, it's okay. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of, stuff that may be in the atmosphere. Could be anything, could be, all sorts of stuff that people have been afraid of. Doesn't matter. When you get into your flow, the world comes to match you in your flow. And by the time the damaging effect will hit you, you've already moved forward because the current is a flowing one. The key is you keeping that finger on your pulse and keep flowing. That's the key thing. It's also a year where those of you who signed up at a soul level to do something that was actually going to be an important gift for our planet, this is the year to actualize that. 2020 was the year to remove the confusion and get it all on track. 2021 is a year of actualizing that. So, some of you I will be talking to on a one-to-one basis to share with you, and I've already done that with the journey, some of the key Journey into Miracles people. You will keep your finger on your flow in your way and keep moving forward. That's what I want to say today. Take your time this weekend and start each one of you. You can all do it. You can all do automatic writing. Begin this weekend. Just get yourself into a space with a pen and paper. And I'm asking you to do pen and paper rather than thinking and talking, because there is a connection that I want to start happening between your left and your right brain. So any fractures that may exist that separate the left and the right start to automatically repair. Remember, we are working with the 10 commandments as well. Take nothing for granted, uncertainty is certain, no, unknown is the known, all that stuff. As well as moving from surviving to thriving and moving from sustainable to thriving. So I want whatever action you take, when I shared with you how to do it, I'm sharing because I'm coming from creating an expertise and a result that can regenerate itself. So hence, this time my request is paper and pen. And allow yourself to just write whatever chooses to come through. And it's going to be it's going to be what all of this that I've talked about, what does that actually mean for you? You know, what are you hearing about that for you? And some things you maybe get anxious about. I want to hold on to that. I don't want to let go of that. Declare it, write it down. You're going to be working with yourself, within yourself, and in doing so, your world is going to transform and rise up to match and come with you to support you to stay in your flow and will travel with you going forward. You don't need to worry about who does, or what doesn't, because as you're moving forward in your flow, only that which keeps you in flow will remain with you. The rest will just go away because the flowing current won't be able to take it further. Calls for trust. It's a beautiful time. It's an exciting time. It's a surprising time. And it comes with a few challenges. As long as you know what that pulse is that gives you what it takes to be in flow. What are those little tactics that you can use? It could be taking your dogs for a walk. It could be going and, being with your horse. Or it could just be, reading, being in the park or the forest. It could be listening to one of these, YouTube recordings, whatever it may be. Just find your own ways of returning to flow and stay there. That's all I wish to communicate today. And next Saturday, I will talk about the third aspect of 2021. In the meantime, please go ahead and work with whatever shows up for you from this. And Suzanne, I'm going to request that we actually create a separate playlist, which is just called 2021, Flowing in Flow. And it's a separate program altogether that we'll have, so you can go back and revisit it. With that, I would like to just complete my transmission and invite you to share one word that shares what you're present to. So in the chat, go ahead and share that. A slipstream, Karen. Have a look online in terms of the meaning of a slipstream, but it's a little bit like in an ocean. Sometimes we've experienced it where you go into certain parts of the ocean, the current seems to be really, really fast, and really there, even if you try to swim and you can't do anything. You just have to literally drop yourself into the ocean, and that slipstream just is so fast that very soon it'll take you miles away to another place. And often it's quite a magical discovery that you have. So it's like energetically, that's the experience that is available to us during these slipstream times. That's what I mean. So thank you for asking the question. Yes, magnificent, smiling big with excitement, Dea. Yes, this is your time, Queen of illumination, Dea. With kindness and compassion, gratitude, much gratitude, such an exciting time. Yes, Helene, it is streaming trust, indeed, magnificent, smiling, big with excitement, expansive, much gratitude. The year to grow, the year to flow, flowing in flow, indeed. New year of happiness, yes, flowing in flow is showing up in the most unusual way to me, but it feels right and I can see it. Thank you for this insight. Thank you for sharing, Jill. Flowing curiously, flowing curiosity, so thankful. Yes, Kelly, indeed. Amazing insight received today, and a project has come to my mind, which I will share separately. Thank you. Fabulous, exciting, and open, recognizing 2021 flow. Yes. Excitement, huge thanks, year of emergence of the grandest dreams. Yes, indeed. opening opening the sails to ride the currents. Indeed, great. And let's all share, you know, whatever it is that we might have used. Let's use the group to start sharing. The answer is always here and has been known for thousands of years. It is in the wisdom and sacred teachings of indigenous people across the world. They have the deepest connection to the spirit of the earth and its history. And from this intimacy, healing can occur. And we all have, all our souls have gone through the journey of our times as members of indigenous communities. So we can tap into that right here, right now. We don't have to wait for understanding it from someone else. It's great that they are here in our midst and they are being recognized and brought forth. So let's tap into that indigenous wisdom that is there, held in our gut. Lovely and beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, so amazing to connect with flow and where this will take me. Optimistic and lightheartedness, learning to flow in my flow, and I have seen and experienced some miracles. Yes, Mary, so grateful that you have. Wonderful. The flow be with you as the flow is the force. Oh, Connie, gracefully received and shared back. Amazing, thrilling. I'm loving, thriving, and celebrating life with everyone in you, Mynoo. Love and deepest gratitude for you, Mynoo, for bringing forth all the guidance, skills, and talents. And it really is an emergence of you, Sarah. You know, all I'm doing is just, dropping in that little elixir, and it opens up for you. Flowing in my flow has been extraordinary and so sweet. Beautiful, Janice. About time. All in. Yes, welcome. Right and perfect. Right here, right now. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great weekend. I will see you all on Tuesday. Thank you.